Well, my hero in music, Sting, is here. Wonderful to see you and wonderful to meet with you.
Nice to be here.
Such an honor. You were here, you've been to India many times, but there is an epic 1980-81 concert at the Rang Bhavan of the police.
Yes.
And there are some bits on YouTube with people just going nuts in the audience. Do you have any recollection at all of that particular year? 1980-81, the police at Rang Bhavan.
It was March the 28th, 1980, and that was my first visit to India, obviously my first visit to Bombay. We were invited by the Jazz Club of Mumbai, which was run by a group of very noble Parsi ladies who loved jazz. I don't know why they booked us, but they did. And we were in this lovely amphitheater. The ladies were in the front in their saris and umbrellas. And then behind them seemed to be the whole of India. And the people who couldn't get in were outside. And there was a bit of trouble because they were frustrated because they wanted to see us. So we were as curious about the audience as the audience was about us, and not sure how it would be accepted or how it would go down. But by the end of the show, it was the typical rock and roll response. And I'll never forget it. It was so vivid as a memory, and I always wanted to come back. So tonight, after 44 years, I'm back here in Mumbai.
The future is looking so bright for Sting fans because you're here, and then there's concerts with Billy Joel. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, if Sting were to play a Billy Joel song, would it be Piano Man? Or would it be She's Always a Woman to Me?
No.
And if Billy were to pick a Sting song, what would he sing?
Well, I wouldn't sing one of his big hits. In fact, I'm going to sing one of his songs in the show we're doing. I'm going to sing a song called Big Man on Mulberry Street.
I've heard that, yes.
And I think Billy is going to do Englishman in New York.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've worked together a lot. I've known Billy since the 80s. I respect him greatly as a musician, as an all-round songwriter, singer, a fantastic piano player. He could play everything from Mozart to Beethoven to the Beatles to Gershwin, everything. So I love him as a musician. And it's a great double bill.
It is.
Fantastic.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
The Bridge, which is the latest album, is something I'm really tripping on. And the references to water is such a Sting thing, which I love, you know. And the album starts with that. I mean, the rushing water is all about that. I mean, does it have anything to do with growing up near the sea?
I was born right next to the river by a shipyard. In between my house and the river was a shipyard where they built some of the biggest ships in the world. And then out to sea, the ocean was about 2 miles away. So the symbol of the ship, the symbol of the constant movement of the river into the sea were symbols that really affected me, were a gift to an artist. I wasn't born in a suburb of the city, I was born near an element. And that seemed to me like a kind of God, a silent God that was going past my house for thousands of years. So it's in all of my songs. Water is very important.
You know, I'm going to do a rewind to 2 albums which shaped my life awfully long time ago. 1987's album and 1991's album. 1991 was, of course, The Soul Cages. 1987 was Nothing Like the Sun.
Yeah.
And I was telling the Universal India people that I've wept to those songs, I've laughed to those songs, everything, all my early emotions as an adolescent and teenager are those songs. Sister Moon will be my guide. Sink like a stone that's been thrown in the ocean, my logic is drowned in a sea of emotion. Be Still My Beating Heart, which is Boy Child is locked in the fisherman's yard, bloodless moon where the oceans die. And of course the funny one, in 100 years from now you will attempt to tell us how scientific means to bliss will supersede the human kiss.
It's already happened.
It has. My question to you is these are poems to me. They're not even songs, they're poems. Do you write them first? Or do you write the music first and then go with the lyrics?
I write the music and then the music writes the lyric.
Wow.
If you construct music in the correct way, it has an abstract narrative. It has a mood, you know the mood, if it's a minor key or a major key, but it's telling me a story. And so my job, the way a sculptor looks at a piece of rock, you can see an arm or a leg or a nose, I hear stories in music. Some people see color, I hear stories, and so it's my job to tell the story that the music is telling me. But I don't do it without the music, and I also don't really want to separate the two things. I don't think it's poetry. Poetry stands alone. I think the lyric needs the music, in my opinion. Well, I'm very flattered that you would read it. Thank you.
No, I mean, there's so much more. And then there was a time when I hand-painted a T-shirt saying, I will always be king of pain, which is actually a police song. And then there was a phase in my life where, like all kids, I was a little violent, getting into fights in school, and I was listening to all these heavy metal bands.
Yeah.
And I remember taking a piece of paper and writing, it takes more than combat gear to make a man, it takes more than a license for a gun. Confront your enemies, avoid them when you can. A gentleman will walk but never run, right? On my study table. And it really helped me a lot because, I sobered down and I said, that's not a real man. A real man doesn't go beating around boys in school, So it also seems to me, and here's the question, that those two albums, which shaped my life and lots of other people's lives, you were in a lot of pain. There was a lot of pain in there. I mean, were you going through loss? I don't know.
I didn't have the happiest childhood, I have to say. At the same time, it was a stimulating childhood for an artist. I mentioned where I come from. It was a very surreal industrial environment. Family life was difficult. And I had an engine to escape. I had an engine to see a bigger world than the one that was being offered to me. So the pain was necessary. If I'd had a comfortable, happy childhood, then I wouldn't have had the desire or the energy to try and escape. And I was lucky.
Another friend of yours who you call your little brother, Shaggy Loves India. He comes here very often.
Yeah.
I've had wonderful chats with him. You produced a solo album, you've done albums together, you curated a festival together. What is it's the most amazing quality about Shaggy? What is it that bonds you to this guy?
Sometimes you meet someone out of the blue and you have an instant rapport with them, as if you'd known them your entire life, as if everything you say is funny and everything they say is funny to you, that you have the same sense of humor. And yet we're so different. We're from completely different cultures. He's Jamaican, I'm from the north of England, and yet we feel a great deal of brotherly love. And we call each other every week, and we'll keep that partnership going for as long as we can. He has his own career, obviously, and so do I. But occasionally we get together and then sparks will fly. I think he's greatly undervalued. I think as a storyteller and a lyricist and entertainer, he's 100%. He's so amazing. And I want more of the world to realize that.
You're right, he's such an entertainer. I will give him a station ID to read.
Yeah.
And he'll just do it in the most lyrical, poetic style ever. Just to name a radio station.
Well, he proclaims like an actor. He speaks the way an actor speaks. He raps the way an actor speaks. And it's very compelling. It's also, the essence of stardom is that you instantly recognize the voice. As soon as he says one thing, it could be no one but Shaggy. So I like to feel I'm the same way. But
ever since I've become a parent, I start looking at things not just from an individual angle, but from a parental angle. I have 2 daughters, and I was thinking during the My Songs tour, there's your longtime collaborator Dominic Miller's son. There is Stuart Copeland's son, your partner from the Police, and there's your own son. And they were all at points of My Songs coming on. And
no, that was a joke that Stuart Copeland's son was the drummer. He's not.
Isn't?
No.
The Jones guy? No.
No. He may be, but not officially. No, that was my little joke. Okay. But we did have 2 of our sons on stage with us. Which, of course, you know, if you were a fisherman 100 years ago, your father was a fisherman, and his father was a fisherman. So it's the same with musicians.
No, but you must be proud. I mean, he's such
course I
a...
am.
You know, your
Of
son's
course I
doing
am.
something.
I think it's very difficult for a son to be in the same business. You know, it's a tough business, and more is expected of them. But you know, they're courageous and talented. So good luck to them.
Is there any reason you chose the bass guitar as your instrument of choice?
Well, I play the guitar. I tend to write music on the guitar. But, you know, as a band leader, if you're playing the bass, you have the bottom of the music, and if you're singing, you have the top. So the band is literally working within your bandwidth, like this. So you control the harmony, you control the intensity of the music and the melody. And so it's a very astute and effective way of leading a band. I don't have to be too flashy. I don't have to show off on the bass, but you know, of course singing and playing the bass is difficult. You're playing contrapuntal rhythms against the melody. It's not just like strumming a guitar. So it's hard, but I love it. But I don't have to be the greatest bass player in the world to do my job.
One world, your station.